But if you put the entire fiscal policy direction and whatever and actions of the current administration into some form of context within the CFTA, well, we export most of our oil to the United States and other parts of the world. I'm not too sure if we're going to be exporting crude oil to Ghana, because a number of African countries are producing oil. So what will be Nigeria's competitive advantage under this new agreement and this landmark history, facilitation, trade facilitation agreement being put together?
Number one, the Nigerian market, the size of the Nigerian market, it's a major advantage. We tend to forget it. We should not. Nigeria is a market in focus. For most economies in the world, those outside Africa and those within Africa. But having a market scale is not enough. The most important is the abundance of creative Nigerians with intellectual property, enterprising, innovative, creative, ambitious, and aggressively so. We need to diversify this economy. And you're absolutely right. We have to go beyond oil receipts. Frankly, if you ask me what is the scandal of our economy, from 1960s, from 58 rather, when oil was discovered to now, is that we have not pushed as far as we should have collectively. This is not a criticism against a government X or government Y in this country. Absolutely not. This is an intergenerational responsibility from the 1960s to now. We have not done as much as we should. But there are advantages that are emerging. Boasin, in the digital economy, our software writers and providers and those in the digital economy market space are now considered to be in the premier leagues in the global economy. What Inyi, Aboyeji, Oluwa, what they're doing, all our hubs in Lagos, in Kaduna, Kanu, Port Harcourt. Did you know that 10% of the GDP of this country now is accounted for by ICT? It's changing. It's taking a while. Did you know that one of our greatest foreign exchange earners now is becoming diaspora earnings, not just from Nigerians in Texas and London who are repatriating earnings, but Nigerians in Sierra Leone, in Congo, in South Africa, in Egypt, in Morocco, in East Africa, as natural persons who have gone beyond our borders. They're creating value, earning money, and repatriating it to Nigeria in terms of diaspora earnings. Did you know that our entertainment and film industry, Nollywood, is the third largest in the world in volume and value, and increasingly by quality? But there's still everything to play for. Everything to play for. So there is a story of oil and petroleum products, but it's gradually, we're dealing with it. And it has to be a public-private partnership. And so those advantages are improving by the day, but you know how we will maximize it and deepen it. And this is the story. We have to go back. I did not say go forward. To put it this way, to go forward, Boasin,
you need to step backward.
We have to step back to a time in Nigerian educational system when the University of Ahmadu Bello University, Ife, University of Ibadan that I attended, University of Nigeria and Nsukka, University of Lagos had products that were simply just headhunted by the best institutions in the world. The quality of our educational system currently is distressed, and this is what we need. This is where we need to invest, and this is what we need to improve on to continue to maximize our advantages in the CFTA.
And as distressed as Nigeria's educational system is, Liberia wants about 6,000 of our teachers. That says that we have a competitive advantage. We could just move that up.
Well, it is. I was speaking recently to my brother and friend, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, who's just frankly doing a first-class work as one of our finest foreign ministers. A couple of things. Shortly, on the 5th of April, I hope you find the opportunity to talk to Minister Onyama about that. He's going to launch the Nigerian Economic Diplomacy Initiative, NEDI. You need to talk to him about it. But talk to him about that in the context of the TAC program, Technical Assistance Corps program of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It builds into what you and I have been talking about just now, about the export of our natural persons, qualified, I'm talking of skilled persons. When we export, although we need them to man our institutions domestically, we also need to export natural persons. Exporting natural persons, as we're doing in the areas of entertainment and audiovisuals, is also good for this economy. It's about the hard economic and it's about the soft economic power of this great country.
Mr. Ambassador, we have another of our viewers, of course, Ipe Musa has one question. Let's talk about the size of our market on Twitter. Thank you, folks, for getting on Twitter and joining this conversation from wherever you are around the world. It says, the size of our market may no longer be sustainable, a unique advantage going forward if we fail to do enough to increase its sophistication.
100%, I agree. And this is what I said at the beginning. Did you say Ikwe Musa?
Yes.
He or she is absolutely right. And thank you, Ikwe Musa, for that comment. Markets are important. They are powerful. But if I understand you to say that a market is a variable, it's not a constant factor. In other words, a market can become stronger, a market can lose value. Then I agree with you. We're currently the #1 economy on the continent and in terms of market size, but we have rival and challenger economies against us on the continent. And if we don't do enough, and this is the point, and we hope that you'll help us disseminate this message. If we don't do enough, we will lose it. Take Ethiopia, and I cite Ethiopia. It's a country I love, so I cite it as a good example. I don't want to be misinterpreted. Ethiopia has been growing at approximately 10, 11, 12% GDP. It's established industrial parks. Hawassa is one of the biggest industrial parks not just in Africa, in the world. At the rate Ethiopia is growing, what happened last year? Ethiopia overtook Kenya as the largest economy in East Africa. Let's carry on. At the rate Ethiopia is going, add it up. Add it up. So we need to do more, and we need to be focused. And when I say this, my message, I don't want to be cryptic or speak in ways that you'll need a cipher code to decode what I'm saying. If we don't do enough, if we play a defensive game completely, regulation and extra time, we will lose the game.
Mr. Ambassador, if you're speaking to Nigerians about football game, they understand what defense and offense mean and regulation time. A lot of folks got knocked or got whacked in the European League in the last few days, so they understand very well. And some are still nursing their wounds. I don't want to name names. But of course, we've got about 2 minutes in this session. We're going to continue. But just this one for about a minute before we take a break. And your office and that of the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs are going to become like a Siamese twins with the Economic Diplomacy Initiative that the Geoffrey Onyema's office is going to, or department is going to raise. So how would you work together? I've always wondered, where is Nigeria's foreign economic diplomacy document?
Well, I came back, I was brought back to the country. I returned to my own country about 1.5 years ago. Put this in context, what we need to achieve as a country, as a government is coherence between fiscal policy, well, that's Ministry of Finance, the central bank, Ministry of Finance, fiscal policy, monetary policy as a central bank, structural reform policies, and that's, the sorts of things I do, energy, power, trade negotiations, and foreign policy.